Tuesday the 16th of April saw an impressive group of soldiers from 1 Scots parading through both Melrose and Galashiels. There was a very windy start to the day, but that didn't deter well-wishers as they turned out to line the streets and show their appreciation. The soldiers from the 1st Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, were heartily welcomed home to the Scottish borders, previously the recruiting ground of the King's Own Scottish Borderers. I did see many KOSB ties in evidence amongst the onlookers and spoke with some ex-KOSB soldiers who were happy to support the troops on the ground, despite still harbouring reservations about the demise of their old regiment as a consequence of the 2006 amalgamation, which saw the establishment of the new regiment. The soldiers had recently returned from a 6-month tour of duty in Afghanistan's Helmand province, and to show their appreciation, children from Melrose Primary School held up a welcome home banner that they had made. Before the parade passed, I caught up with their head teacher, Mrs. Innes, who spoke about how keen the pupils were to be able to show their appreciation. Here is a short compilation of recordings that I made on the day, wind permitting. Well, a very, very windy day heading over to Melrose, but I'm here, sun shining, and finally got a place to park now to try and get a good vantage point. I have a funny feeling I'm going to regret not having a windshield for this recorder, but here's the primary school kids about to pass me with their Union flags. I'm getting my first hint of bagpipes coming from the back of the stand at Melrose, at Greenyards. And the youngsters are getting a bit louder too. And here comes the donkey. That's why they're making such a noise. Oh, it's not a donkey, I apologise. It's a Shetland pony, resplendent with its marked cover. Teachers encouraging the youngsters to step back from the curbside. Interesting to see no crowd control barriers. Nice to see the youngsters and people being trusted to be sensible and safe without all these crowd control barriers going up. Right. I believe you're the head teacher of Melrose Primary School, yeah. Melrose Grammar School, I apologise. You're primary school now, yeah. Would you mind telling me what you think the kids are feeling about this opportunity to get out of the classroom?
I think they're very much welcoming the opportunity to celebrate some of the work that's being done in other lands, which they know something about.
Yeah. And I noticed they've created a nice big banner down there.
Yes, created a banner to welcome them home. So and, they are aware of what some people are doing to help others in other parts of the world. So.
Yeah. It's nice to see all the smiling faces, and
yes, exactly.
I was just remarking to myself, it's nice to see no crowd control barriers up here, but I imagine you might be a little bit more worried about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crowd control barrier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Bye. And shortly after that chat with Mrs. Innes, the parade passed by. Right, that seems to be it for Melrose. Now to try and get my car and over at Galashiels to catch up with things there. In Galashiels, I was situated at the fountain. The band first marched past without the pipers, who joined in further along from where I was standing, in Bank Street by the saluting platform.
Can you hear the band coming? Can you hear them, Molly? They're marching in the buggy, Molly!
And so, it's over. Led by their mascot, a Shetland pony called Cruachan, the soldiers looked impressive dressed in their combats, officers with swords, and other ranks with their fixed bayonets. The band also added an extra emotive layer to the parade. A salute was taken in both towns by the Lord Lieutenant of Roxburgh, Ettrick and Lauderdale, Captain Gerald Maitland-Carew, in Melrose High Street and Bank Street in Galashiels. The parade was hosted by Scottish Borders Council, and on completion of the parades, soldiers, officials, councillors and others gathered in the Volunteer Hall for a reception, where there was a chance to relax, chat and enjoy the hospitality. Despite the improved communications technology, which makes it easier to maintain contact with home when serving abroad, troops were clearly thrilled to be back and see the faces of family, friends and others lining the streets. Equally happy were family members and loved ones who were relieved to see the soldiers safely back on Scottish soil. The 6-month tour had seen One Scots mentoring local Afghan police in preparation for taking over full responsibilities for their own areas in Helmand province. Soldiers reported that this had been a much quieter tour than their previous one in 2012, and they were pleased to be able to report that they had observed a great deal of progress during the recent 6-month stay. The threats that they had been exposed to had also changed, with the danger of attacks from within the Afghan forces, green on blue, being greater than that from the Taliban. Behind the happy scenes accompanying the parade lies the sad reality that the soldiers have been putting their lives on the line, and one officer lost his life during this recent tour, and 3 other members of the battalion have died previously serving in Afghanistan. In addition, injuries are also a fact of life whilst on active service. Keep a lookout for When Duty Calls, an 18-track CD which is on sale to raise money for injured soldiers who served in Afghanistan. It features company tunes by One Scots Pipes and Drums and the Fijian Choir, and it's available at £10 a time from Pipers in Galashiels, Spence's in Hawick, Turnbull's in Selkirk, and Walk This Way Army Surplus Store in Coldstream.